We knew there was going to be a lot of PvP in this one. We knew we were heading for the Protoss versus Protoss on this side of the semifinals. We'll see if it ends up being a PvP finals as well. There is a chance. There is a chance. But for right now, we'll see which Protoss gets there. Spawning in the lower right-hand corner, we have our, I want to say, 18-time KSL winner. Trying to get there once again. It is Dragon Kites's Hero. Arguably the best Protoss in the world, but is he the best PvPer in the world? I actually think there's an argument to be made that this guy has better PvP. In the upper left-hand corner, we have Nightmare. Now, I don't know the stats. Okay, I'm not a stats man. Well, except I do love stats, the player. But like statistics, you know, I never took a statistics class, and numbers aren't my strong suit. I'm more of a vibes guy, you know? I'm more about what it feels like. And Nightmare feels like maybe the best PvP in the world. I think Max Packs might actually have the best PvP in the world. But I don't know, dude. Nightmare, I feel like every time I see him in a bracket and he's just got Protosses for days, I'm like, oh yeah, I actually think Nightmare might make it through all that. And even Hero, who's, you know, he's the top-ranked Korean Protoss, usually fights with Max Packs for the best Protoss in the world. I feel like Nightmare beats him at least a good chunk at the time. I'm pretty sure Nightmare beat him last week. Or not last week, it was 2 weeks ago in the last KSL. If I'm not mistaken. Ooh, as Nightmare tries to kill Hero's probe there. Got real aggressive. If I'm not mistaken, Nightmare beat Hero to get into the finals. Could be wrong on that, but pretty sure that's what happened. We see him with another chance to do the same thing here. Now we're on Golden Aura, and we're not seeing any proxies going down. It looks like both players are going to macro this. Although, as I say that, Hero throws down a Robo before throwing down any sort of Nexus. And he's going to kill Nightmare's probe. And we might see a third gate go down here for Hero. There it is. All right, Hero, he's going to one base. Nightmare does not have any tech. And he is going to go ahead and take this base, keeping the Adepts back at home. And because of the way Nightmare opened with the double Adept, now into double Stalker, he's not going to have really any scouting information on his opponent. Keeping those Adepts back at home means that he doesn't really know what he's up against here. Didn't scout much, but maybe he just got the feeling. You know, maybe he got the vibe that Hero is going to be aggressive. Again, I feel like Nightmare, he's a vibes guy. I'm a vibes guy. Nightmare's a vibes guy. I think we'd get along. Two Adepts are thinking about shading in. They decide against it. Is Hero just going to expand? No. For a moment, he was about to hit 400 minerals. I was like, if he just takes a base here, that's bad, right? The answer would have been yes. Nightmare going to try to come out and fight this. Drops down a force field to kill that one Adept, but I don't think he spotted that the Prism was here. And again, he doesn't really have any vision on the other side of the map. He hasn't scouted anything over there in a little bit. He doesn't know exactly what he's up against, but as I say that, Hero drops these units in the main base. Probes are getting pulled here for Nightmare. Good micro on the Stalkers, pulling back this very, very low one. Another very low one, staying alive for Nightmare. The micro, oh my god, that's so hot. A few probes are dying here, and Hero has a few more Stalkers showing up. But now those Stalkers are on their own a little bit. Good focus fire from Hero. The Prism taking some damage. Nightmare does have a shield battery on the low ground. This has gone great for Nightmare so far. He lost 4 probes, but he's still ahead 4 probes. And he has a Nexus. He can lose a few probes. That is not a problem. Hero, though, he's going to try to shade some of these Adepts up. Oh, and those 3 Adepts are going to finish that shade. Beautiful force field, trimming a few of them off here. Going to help him kill them. But then Hero's going to drop back in with the Warp Prism. I don't know, though. This feels like it's going okay for Hero, for Nightmare, rather. Hero's making some stuff happen here, getting 5 more probe kills. He takes the worker lead, but again, he doesn't have a nexus. He needs more than a couple worker lead in this game. He needs to really get some damage done. So far, Nightmare has stopped that from happening. Loses the Adept, but keeps the Prism away. This Prism does need to be careful. It's down to 50 hit points. Stalkers do pretty solid damage against it. And I'm a little surprised we haven't seen Nightmare try to put a shield battery down in the main base. But so far, I mean, this is going very well for him. Now, Hero, he's got 2 Immortals out, as well as another handful of units back at home. But Nightmare, he's going to scout that. He scouts no Nexus. He's going to see... Wait, whoop. Oh, he's going to see the Immortals. Okay. Man, I got really surprised when those Immortals weren't there. Hero picks him up, and he's going to head across the map. Nightmare knows this is coming. Nightmare has Blink about 2/3 of the way done. But even with Chrono Boost, that's not going to be done too soon. He wants to catch this Prism. He wants to try to catch this army. He's got a couple of force fields. Prism takes a little bit of damage, but it does stay back. He's going to trigger the shields on one of those Immortals to try to help him out in this fight. Force fields can be good, but of course Hero has the Prism to do some fancy micro as Stalkers get pulled down from the main base for Nightmare. The Super Shield Battery turns on to keep Nightmare alive a little longer, and that's going to buy him enough time to get Blink finished up here, and that's going to help Nightmare greatly. Hero has one chance to bust through. He's got to go now. Probe's getting pulled. Nightmare's going to blink on top of the Prism. Then he's going to gun down one Immortal. Ooh, he doesn't quite get it, actually. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Nightmare. Hold the phone. That looked real good for Nightmare. The probe pull is going to help him. He's going to blink. Now he gets both Immortals, and I think that's going to be enough. 11 probes die, but the worker count's even. The shield battery is out of juice, but Nightmare has Blink. He should be able to win this fight. Hero has no Nexus, and GG gets called as Nightmare holds on against Hero's one base all in and holds on against the follow-up Hero one base all in, which is often the killer. I tell you, I've seen a lot of players hold that first one. A lot of times they can't quite hold that second one. But Nightmare does it. Which it just feels good when at the start of the match you're like, this guy's really good at this matchup. And he's playing against the best. And then if the best wins, everybody's like, what were you talking about though? Come on, dude. It's Hero. Then when he wins, I'm like, I feel vindicated. You know? I'm vindicated. Nightmare's PvP is really good. And this is a semifinals. It's only a best of 3. Hero now has to win 2 in a row to get to another KSL finals. Can Nightmare get to 2 KSL finals in a row? That would actually be pretty sick. I'd be very, very happy about that because he's somebody I've been watching for a long time. And I feel like he's been getting better and better and just having some very solid results. But let's see if he can do it. Let's see if he can close this series out here. We're in game 2 on a hard lead, and in the lower right-hand corner we have Nightmare. It would also feel very nice for Nightmare to, you know, his partnership with Matt Torino ended at the start of the year, and currently been teamless now for a little over a month. I feel like it would be nice to see him have some good results and maybe have that be a factor in getting picked up by another team. His opponent, though, is going to make it tough. In the upper left-hand corner, we have Dragon Kite's Hero. Nightmare pulling all the probes again to kill the scouting probe. It's funny, he's done that in a few games now. He killed Creator's probe with the probe pull, but Hero so far has been able to keep his probes alive. It's funny that Nightmare does that, like he tries to kill his opponent's probe, even though we haven't seen Nightmare do anything cheeky. Nightmare's been playing full macro in all the PvPs today. Yeah, it's going to be a Stalker Sentry opening for both players. Looks like Hero decided the one base wasn't working out too well last game, so maybe he'll just macro it up against Nightmare. Could work out better for him. That's cute. Nightmare going to drop the pylon. I feel like when he sees just one Stalker hitting it, he's going to know there's a Sentry in the main. But yeah, this is dead even build orders here, so we'll get a nice mid game out of these players, I think. Nightmare going straight into the Twilight Council. I imagine, yeah, we're going to see the same thing out of Hero. It's so funny, like, it's just Blink Stalkers, man. It's just always Blink Stalkers. It'd be crazy to see somebody go for a different tech building at this stage of the game. Like, I feel like if one of these players went for a Robo, I'd be like, what are they doing? What's the build here? Sometimes the openings end up a little different, but, like, you just got to get that Twilight Council. There is a Robo going down for Hero now, which is interesting. Might be worried about the Dark Shrine. Maybe he was catching the end of Nightmare versus Creator, and he's like, nah, I don't want to lose like that. I don't want to lose to the DTs. It's an understandable thing to not want to lose to the DTs. Hero's going to scout. It looks like Nightmare's been scouting as well. Nightmare does not see that Robo. It's not hugely important, but I feel like this implies something about what Hero's doing. I'm not sure exactly what. But I feel like it means Hero's going to be macroing more so than he is going to be trying to attack soon. And Nightmare poking it with a couple of Adepts, see what's going on. But he is going to take a third base behind this. Puts down his own Robo in almost the exact same position. I do love that too, when players sim city in the same way. It's like, honestly, almost exactly mirrored where they have every single one of their buildings. Like, slight differences with the pylon and the Twilight Council positioning, but it's so slight. It's so slight. Nightmare, though, a little bit quicker to blink. A little bit later to the Robo. But it means Nightmare is going to have a quicker charge as well. And I thought he was going to get that third base up a lot sooner, but it looks like he's going to be at almost the exact same time. That probe was positioned there for a long time. Hero with the faster Robo is going to have the faster Immortals as well. But because we see Hero not going into charge lots tend to do quite well against Immortals. Wait, hold on. Nightmare canceled charge. That's an interesting choice. I assume he canceled it to start up the Immortal. But, or maybe the Phoenix scouted it and he decided to cancel it after the Phoenix evaporated. Just to throw Hero off. Because you can tell when the Twilight Council is researching. So maybe he saw it researching and was like, oh, I'll cancel it now. That'll really fool him. I don't know. Seems silly. Hero's getting charged now. Hero's ahead 6 workers. He's already long distance mining this third base as it finishes up here. And Nightmare's just going to be a little bit behind economically despite having that slightly earlier third. Yeah, it was like 3 seconds earlier, but still going to be mining worse than Hero. But he's got more army. I don't know. Keeping tabs on what's going on in these games can be a little bit weird sometimes. At the end of the day, a lot of it does come down to the engagement. having that good blink micro, hitting the concave versus convex. And Nightmare's going to go for the push here. 3 Immortals on Hero's side. But Nightmare's going to try to push it anyways. Weird blink there from Hero off to the side. Nightmare has the Prism, so he could do some fancy Prism micro. Hero does not have any fancy micro capabilities here other than blink. Nightmare's going to go ahead and warp in some more Stalkers, and Nightmare just wins that fight. Turns out blink Stalkers are pretty good. Super Shield Battery will keep one of these Immortals alive. The other one does fall. This one, though, with 5 kills as the Stalkers blink into the natural, but Hero gets another Immortal out at the perfect time to shoo Nightmare away. Nightmare will get out of there, killing another Immortal and a few more Stalkers. But Hero, with a fresh warp and a charge lots, is going to take the army supply lead for a little bit. Going to put down a 4th base. Nightmare wants to keep the pressure on them. Oh, Nightmare going to try to get into the main. He's got 3 Adepts in this War Prism. Turning around to blink against these Stalkers. It's a cute little fight up here. Zealots warp in back at home for Hero, though. So he shouldn't take too much damage. He is losing a few probes, though. Stalker's going to be able to kill that Warp Prism. Nightmare a little late to pull that out. And despite all this back and forth, 6 probes going down, Hero ends up ahead a lot of army supply, 45 to 19. That is pretty massive. Nightmare's going to try to take his own 4th base, but he just doesn't have the unit count to keep up with Hero right now. Hero, I feel like the start of that fight went really well for Nightmare, but as he pushed in and kept trying to get damage done, the Stalker's trying to get into the natural or something, I don't know. It felt like it got worse and worse for Nightmare. He was losing some of those low hit point Stalkers that he had kept alive with his blink micro. And it's hard to tell when you've overcommitted, but I think Nightmare had overcommitted there. Now Hero's going to push out, and they're going to kind of awkwardly fight in the middle of the map. But Hero also has Archon, something that we don't have for Nightmare just yet. Temple Archives is almost done, but it's not quite there. And Hero, with the quicker upgrades, his +2 is nearly done. And I think if he hits with that timing, it's going to be up 20 army supply and an upgrade. And that's... and an upgrade, and he's going to have Archons against potentially no Archons. Okay, Nightmare is going to warp in his first Archon now. But Hero is going to push forward. There is a shield battery here for Nightmare, but at a certain point in the game, it is not the most important thing in the world anymore. We might be at that stage. As Hero warps in, some Zealots descend into the natural. Nightmare already has defensive Zealots there. Oof, but he loses a lot of Stalkers on the left-hand side. He's got a huge amount of Zealots. That means these 3 Archons are going to be absolutely beautiful in Hero's army. He blinks back behind the Archons. The Immortals shelling out damage as well. And Hero is taking this fight. And I think he is moments away from taking this game as he trims off the last few Stalkers. The Zealot's going to hit on the backside, but Hero's got the Warp Prism here for some fancy micro. And he is going to be able to clean up the rest of this army, clean up this 3rd base, and take us to a game number 3 as Nightmare taps out with the GG. Hero takes the macro game. His 1 base all in did not work. But, I mean, that macro game was just pretty solid from him. It felt like Hero had a lead for most of the game. There was one moment where Nightmare had more army and he was attacking. And that was the only moment I was really worried for Hero. But again, it felt like Nightmare overcommitted a little bit, lost a little bit too much, and that allowed... Hero just took a massive army supply advantage off the back of that fight. Now we're going to Hecate for game number 3. We'll see. We'll see what the players decide to do. Maybe this is Nightmare's time to go for the 1 base all in. Maybe we'll see Nightmare go for the proxy. So far, we've seen 5 PvPs out of Nightmare, and he has been standy Andy macro PvPer. I feel like he's been learning from the Europeans. Maybe that's his strength. The European PvP has always been more macro focused than the Korean PvP. Well, let's get into game 3 here. We're on Hecate. In the upper right-hand corner, we have Dragon Kite sees Hero. And his opponent in the lower left, it is a Nightmare. Again, looking very good in this matchup, but when you're up against Hero, it's tough. It's tough, man. Hero's so good. Pretty good at the game. Man, so I'm just looking at the Illegal Like ratings of some of the top players right now. I wanted to see where Hero is at. He's currently ranked number 4. Just under MaxPax. He and MaxPax are very close in their rating. But also Maru is right there at number 5. And Dark is not too far behind at number 6. I feel like the numbers here are all quite close, except Cyril, who almost lost his number 1 spot to Clem. I think Clem got within like 20 points or something of Cyril's number 1 spot. But Cyril's now just 200 points up. Like, it's just crazy. How does he just do that? Actually, over 200 points up on Clem, who is number 2. And then Clem's like 67 points up on MaxPax at number 3. Like, it's just insane. Actually insane how good these guys are. I'm really excited for Katowice next week. I mean, it's always one of, if not the best tournament of the year, and I don't know that anything's gonna live up to last year's insane run from Oliveira, which was just magical. But I'm excited for it. There's gonna be some fantastic StarCraft. You know, it's funny, at work I've been like listening to music on a Bluetooth speaker. And on Sundays I've been watching football on my phone and listening to that over the speaker. But now for Katowice, I'll probably just have the games on, which means my coworkers are all going to have to deal with StarCraft on the Bluetooth speaker, which I kind of love. Okay, this is kind of cute. So Hero's going to see no Stalker hitting his pylon that he put down. He's got the Nexus on the way. Nightmare this time is going for a 1 base. What did he just cancel? Hold on. Was that another gate? Oh, he's going to take the Nexus. Oh, Nightmare. I don't know what's going on right now. Okay, I was going to just call out the point that Nightmare went for 4 Adepts, which can one-shot sentries. So if Hero's not careful, he could lose all 3 of these sentries very quickly. Shield Battery is finishing up, but if the 4 Adepts shade through, just one-shot those. I don't know if he quite realizes it. Hero's going to scout the Phoenix, and he's going to see that it is a Robo, but there's also a Nexus on the way for Nightmare. It's quite a bit later than Hero's. I feel like this has put Nightmare in a very awkward position now. The War Prism's about to pop out as well. And I assume that War Prism's going to try to get these Adepts into the main base. But now Hero knows the possibility of that is there, and he's putting down the Spotter Pylon. A couple of Stalkers are warped in here on the main mineral line. Things are getting spicy. Well, Nightmare's base done a little bit later. Those Adepts are going to finish that shade, though. I was going to say the probe count is pretty much even, but as I say that, Hero kills the probe. Looks like these Adepts will both die for that probe kill, though. Not necessarily worth it for Hero. And at the same time, he's about to be dropped with 4 Adepts in the natural base. Not exactly where you'd expect to see 4 Adepts hitting. Shield Battery a little too far away to help. Ooh, and that Sentry getting a little bit close. The 4 Adepts could shade up into the main. That's probably not the best idea, though. They'll just get 2 probes and a sentry instead. Never mind, they might get 2 sentries. Oh, not quite. Shield battery keeping them alive. Doesn't quite get all the 4 shots married up. But still, this has actually turned out really nice for Nightmare. Despite having that later Nexus, he's traded about 500 resources better. And that's 150 gas as well. That's pretty good. Ooh, God, he's got to be careful, though. Thankfully, Blink just started. Nightmare, please just leave. The Observer is going to spot exactly where this prism is. So Hero will be able to keep tabs on it. But despite what I would call a shaky and weird start for Nightmare, I think he's really pulled himself into a great spot. And as both players have Blink on the way, Nightmare just has way more army supply. I guess that's mostly the Prism and the 4 Adepts. Pretty much entirely the Prism and the 4 Adepts. Okay. I was like, what is that army supply? Like, how does he just have that much more? Adepts are pretty cheap. Both players going to take their 3rd bases. We're back to macro. Hard to say who's in the better spot. Again, kind of like I was mentioning in game 1. With the difference in workers and army being this slight, Blink going to be done for both of them. Well, hold on. I say Blink's going to be done for both of them. Nightmare, though, he should be able to jump on this. Here does not have Blink yet. Oh, but Nightmare, he doesn't want to play with fire. He doesn't know that Hero's Blink is, 25 seconds later. The Warp Prism, I think it did go down. The Adepts are going to try to get into the main base, but they're not going to get anything done. No, never mind. The Warp Prism stayed alive just barely. Oh, this Observer for Hero is actually so goated. He sees everything that's going on over here. But at this stage of the game, the way the engagements happen is going to be a lot more important than those slight army supply leads. The force fields, the blinking, the Warp Prism micro. And we did kind of see that last game too, right? Nightmare was trying to focus fire some Immortals, and it went a little bit awkwardly. He lost a lot of Stalkers trying to kill them. And that ended up potentially just straight up costing him the game. So how the engagements go is incredibly important. Now we do see Nightmare quicker to the Forge, so his +1 is going to be earlier. He's also got Charge on the way, whereas this game, Hero, is going for the Robo Bay. So he's going to try to get some Disruptors out and see if he can't whittle away at this army. Nightmare just needs to recruit the male Ursadak. Wonder how much damage an Ursadak could do. It's like a small Ultra, right? Ooh, 2 Adepts going to try to warp in or shade in here, but as those Stalkers blink all the way over there, Nightmare dives into the natural, and there's a recall going down. Oh, this is such an awkward fight for Hero. Oh, I don't like this. He's got some units on the bottom side, but he loses the Immortals. Stalkers coming back. Stalkers in the natural, and Nightmare's just taking a fantastic fight. He loses the Prism, but there's not enough Stalkers here for Hero to gun down these Immortals. These 3 Immortals are just going to chew through the Stalkers of Hero, and just like that, Nightmare, he's going to win this game. He's winning the fight. He's killed 19 probes. The Natural's dead, and Hero taps out. Wow. It's just proving what I'm saying. Oh, these little leads here and there, they don't matter. How you take the fight matters. And Nightmare just, man, he put Hero in the most awkward position. Hero completely blind to the fact that Nightmare was coming around this weird angle from the other base to try to get in between the natural and the 3rd, which is not always a great place to be and a great place to fight. But the Stalkers were so far away, and I don't know what Hero recalled to the natural, but it did not work for him. His army was super disjointed, and he ended up losing, I think, 2 or 3 Immortals before anything else was fighting, and that just, it's unwinnable from there. Nightmare takes the 2-1 victory and will go to his second KSL finals in a row.